So, Mike, I know you wanted to spend a lot of time with your bride. I don't think you
Mhm.
anticipated this much time. What has the beginning of this marriage been like, by the way?
It's been great. It's been a blessing for, clearly not the way we intended it or anybody drew this thing up the last 3+ months. But yeah, it's been great to be able to get married and spend some quality time with Michelle and the girls.
Tony La Russa used to say that right before spring training would start, Elaine would actually get his suitcase out and say, ready to go. Has she said, aren't you ready to work?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're newlyweds, but she does. She's excited for the season because she loves the game, and she's also knows it's a big passion of mine, and I've been antsy, so she's excited to get me out of the house and get started again.
So, with the changes, what do you think you're going to miss partaking in? The media, the personal contact? What will you miss in this new baseball?
I've really got my head around what the new baseball looks like. So, I'm human, but trying not to spend a lot of mental energy on try to get adjusted to what's new is what I'm trying to get at. But, I'm clearly going to miss the fan interaction. Hopefully at some point it can be loosened up safely. Clearly going to miss some of the more the physical day to day with the players. And of course, I'm going to miss the day-to-day opportunity to see the beloved St. Louis media and national media.
Give me an idea on the rule where you can't get within 6 feet of an umpire. It's not like you're an overly aggressive guy, but you've been heated before. That's going to be something really fascinating to watch.
Yeah, no, it's different world in that regard. Even the lineup exchange card will be done in a distant setting. So, yeah, just can't go out. And I mean, you can go out and I don't know, what that 6 feet looks like exactly, but you can't get out and there's no going to be the face-to-face, exchanges that occasionally happen that entertain people mostly. But yeah, we'll just, we're always respectful of the umpires. They have a job to do. And some days, you have a little bit of a disagreement and we'll just have to communicate it in a different manner.
Mike, there's no doubt you're a player's manager, and one of your strengths is patience with players. But in a 60-game sprint, how does that change in terms of being patient with players?
Yeah, it's a good question, Frank. And we're here for the players. It's a players' game. So, I've always appreciated the fact that I get the opportunity to be a part of their lives and help grow their careers. So, relative to the patience question, it's really the same litmus test that I would have otherwise. We as a staff are going to evaluate a player based on, the game's hard and the game doesn't always reward you. So you don't want to be knee jerk when a player's maybe not putting up the numbers that people are going to judge him by potentially. But you know what? He's making quality pitches, and he's just ground balls finding holes. Or a guy's taking good at bats. His timing's good. He's hitting balls at people. He's having quality at bats. He's moving runners. He's doing the little things. He's playing good defense. A big part of sometimes when people talk about the a guy needs to come out of the lineup. Well, they don't factor in that he's really a big part of our defense, which is still a part of helping us save runs, which helps us win games, which is the end goal clearly. But then there's a converse side of that. Guys missing his spots big. Guys not being able to hit with his secondary pitches or his fastball commands is clearly off. Guys just not seeing the ball well, chasing out of the zone. Those are usually indicators that player may need a little bit of a break to retune a little bit.
I get the impression from listening to John Mozeliak that things haven't changed that much from the end of the previous spring training, in that you're committed, at least initially, to an outfield of Tyler O'Neill, Harrison Bader, and Dexter Fowler. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I mean, we've got, Dexter clearly, bounced back and was a part of our club last year. That was a big part that got us into the playoffs and deeper into the playoffs. Harrison had a really good spring training. Tyler O'Neill had a really good spring training. Lane Thomas had a really good spring training. So those guys held their own and deserve the opportunity to continue to move forward to get the opportunities and to play. And they're good players and have contributed to the big league club in the past. So it's reasonable to think they're going to get those opportunities. And clearly we have other guys that are working their way to getting those opportunities, deservingly so, and guys like Dylan Carlson.
Yeah, tell me your take on Dylan Carlson and what he has to do during spring training part 2 to be a part of this club moving forward.
It's nobody's virtually in a vacuum. I mean, in a sense, when you're working on the roster, especially when you're working on filling out the roster, clearly there's cornerstones of guys that we know are going to be on the roster. And we got a lot of those, which is a good thing, a lot of anchors. But Dylan is not in his own category. He is, and what he has to do really is just continue to play like Dylan plays. Just he can't, nor anybody can think about what somebody else is doing or what I need to do more of. Just play your game, and then understand that there's other guys that are in competition with you that already have experience and contributed to our club that have done, as I alluded to, their part to be on the club and get the opportunity to be on the club. So, as far as what he's got to do, again, just be him, try to get better every day, go play the game, he's a very even keel guy, and just let your talent work and just try to, be available every day to get better.
I know Matt Carpenter's coming off his most disappointing season, and he's 34 years old. But I have a good feel, especially when you hear that every day he's worked with his dad in Texas. He came into spring training with that old theory of hitting the ball to all fields. How bullish are you on Matt Carpenter right now?
Yeah, Carp has had a really nice spring training, really nice break in between the spring trainings. And he's in a good place mentally, physically. He's a talented guy, and listen, he wasn't as consistent. He didn't put up the numbers that he or we would have liked last year. He'll be the first to tell you that. But he did have big moments for us last year, and clearly capable guy. And so, bullish is a good term. He had, like I said, good spring. He had a lot of at-bats in the situation he was able to be in a safe environment in Texas. And he's been here the last couple of days and looks good and is ready to have a nice season for us.
How are you going to handle this DH role? You got a lot of options, don't you? What are you leaning towards right now as we speak?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, that's the thing. We have options. That's good. Clearly we've thought about it. It's going to be continued upon, clearly a number of factors, but we do have a lot of different options from the left side, the right side that we can play with and create an opportunity for our best defense or best offense. And that'll be like most baseball lineups, it'll be a day-to-day situation. Clearly we want to have regulars and will, but it does provide opportunities.
Boy, you have an interesting situation with your pitching. Not only do you have 5 starters, but you have 5 other guys who can start and then a bunch of pure relief pitchers. Is it possible that you'll go into games with like dual starters with maybe contrasting styles, like a Jack Flaherty with an Austin Gomber, an Alex Reyes with an Adam Wainwright? Or how do you think you'll play that? I know it's early and you're probably still working it out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, we're now getting a handle on, we have a handle on where the guys are. We'll physically see them in person and get a gauge and where they are and how they're built up. And I don't want to put parameters on guys to say, hey, he can only throw 3 innings when really he's capable of throwing 5. And then some days a guy's 3 innings can work a lot harder. And sometimes the guy's thrown 4 innings and he's working really easily and he can go further. So, and like I say, Waino's been up and down 4 times in live settings here at the stadium. I know Jack's been up and down, pitching, getting off, going back out, simulating, the innings, which, and we'll have our 3 weeks of opportunity to do that. So, the good news is we've got a lot of depth to your initial point. We're comfortable and confident. I don't think you're going to see any intentional, this guy's going to pair with this guy, and be absolute about that. We're going to see where our starters are, and then we'll game plan accordingly based on the game being dictated. The game always going to dictate how you use your relievers.
Do you anticipate Jordan Hicks being ready July 24th?
I would not expect that to happen. His rehab was never been that aggressive to where he'd be available July 24th. I will say, and I've got his plan sitting here, we're going to sit with Jordan here in a little bit with Mike Maddox and our medical team. He's in a really good spot. He threw a side the other day, looks good, recovering well. But, we want to be smart. He hasn't introduced his slider yet by playing into his side. So, he's on track. He's just not on track to start the schedule of the season. But he's in a good spot, and we're moving it forward accordingly.
Final couple of thoughts. Everybody says that you may have an advantage in this 60-game sprint because Mike Shildt is used to managing in these split seasons, and you've had great deal of success in the minor leagues doing this. Take me through that, how your experience could help here.
Well, I was in rookie ball for 8 years as a coach and then manager for 3, and we had success with those clubs. Really, it's just about honestly, Frank, it's really just about preparation and execution. And we've spent a lot of time over the break, and since we've officially been back working on our spring training, it's just about getting everybody ready to play. The guys have done their part. Most importantly, the guys mean the players, of being ready physically and mentally. And that would just bring everybody together. But it's really just about continual improvement. And, the group that stays present grows from the experience from the previous day, gets better the next day. That's really the best scenario in a process-driven world that we live in here in our world, that allows you to make the most of whatever that time frame looks like.
What's the weirdest thing for you about this whole situation? I mean, I don't know if you're a hugger or a shake of hands person. What's going to be strange for Mike Shildt?
Again, I do my best, to be thinking about what it is. Like, I accept things as they are, and I don't spend a lot of mental energy thinking about it or missing things, because I just don't think it's overly productive. That being said, the human side of it, the thing that's probably going to be it's just, and I don't know what the games are going to look like. I love the inclusiveness of teams, and I've spoken to groups, our guys, about it. Me and Yachty have talked about what that looks like. How do we stay together when we know we have to be distant? We have to be distant in the clubhouse. We have to be distant in the dugout. I'm going to miss the ability to just lock arms physically with guys and get after it. And so it's just different. We are going to be intentional about how we stay connected emotionally, even though physically we can't be as close as we would like.
Are players in the dugout during games after they've been removed from the game? Do they have to sit up in the stands? How does that work? Do you know?
I'm still figuring out what that looks like, still getting some guidance from Major League Baseball. And right now, just trying to, we're planning on our first day of spring training on Friday.
Last thing, your message to the fans, some who've been scarred by the kind of bitter negotiations over the last couple of months, your message to St. Louis Cardinal fans.
Well, the message is really simple and clear. First of all, we're back to playing baseball, and just focus on the fact that we have a lovely, great, wonderful game, and we have a group of guys that are dedicated to providing our fans their best effort every day to compete and win games. And finally, just thank them for their support and understanding. Negotiations are, I don't do a lot of negotiation. It's why I got into coaching, so I didn't have to think about some of those other things. But, ours were public, and sometimes they're not as clean. But the fact of the matter is we all came to the game with the enjoyment of the game, and the game is back. So let's just get back to getting lost in the enjoyment of the game, the beautifulness of the game, all the nuance of the game, and appreciate that and have a mindset around that. I'm grateful for what is now back, and that's baseball.